following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. It's time now for the Sumner County Sports Podcast with Zach Womble, covering high school sports all across Sumner County. Now to a guy who has the best paper basketball shot in the business. Here's your host, Zach Womble.
Thanks, JP. Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition of the Sumner County Sports Podcast. As you just heard, JP Plant joining me, as always, behind the scenes. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and rate the podcast wherever you may be listening. You can follow me on Twitter at Zach Womble MSP, the show on Twitter at Sumner Sports Pod, and Main Street Preps at Main Street Preps. You can also check us out on Facebook at Main Street Preps, Gallatin News, Hendersonville Standard, and the Portland Sun. If you are on YouTube, give us a follow at Main Street Nashville, where you will find a whole set of videos from Mornings on Main Street with Joe Dubin, Main Street Sports Today with Chris Yao, Maurice Patton, and JP Plant, as well as our entire library of podcasts, including yours truly. Before we dive into today's show, I want to give a quick shout out to the fans who tune in each and every week. You make this possible, so your support is greatly appreciated, and I just want to say thank you. Top headlines for this week, jumping right into it. Beach sweeps the 20th annual County Track and Field Championships with Charlotte Free Walt of Station Camp and Jamison Wharton of Hendersonville being named Most Valuable Players/Athletes. Congratulations to Beach High School on doing that. Their first sweep since way back when in 2019. The win was for the boys was their sixth in their last 8 years, and for the girls 5 of 7, including a three-peat. You can check out that story and photo gallery on MainStreetPreps.com, HendersonvilleStandard.com, TheGallatinNews.com, and ThePortlandSun.com, as well as viewing it in your local respective newspapers. It was a fun week at Hendersonville High School Commando Stadium where they host the County Track Championships. But again, it was Beach High School walking away with the victory. Starting tomorrow on Thursday at Green Hill High School is the inaugural Battle for 109, which is Sumner County versus Wilson County on the track and field. It's going to be a lot of fun. I wish I could be there, but unfortunately I've got other places to be. But regardless, I know it's going to be a good time. Look for coverage of that on MainStreetPreps.com, potentially WilsonPost.com, as well as your 3 Sumner County newspapers. Moving on, Station Camp Softball. The Bison are now 6-0 in District 10 4A following their 9-7 win at Beach on Tuesday night. The Bison tallied home run after home run, long ball after long ball, dinger after dinger, and got the complete game out of pitcher Madison Croxford in the circle as they again walked away with the 9-7 victory. 6-0 in league play. Station Camp now has 4 district games remaining on their schedule before the district tournament starts, a district tournament that would be at Station Camp if the season ended today. You can check out my story and photo gallery from Tuesday night's game on MainStreetPreps.com, HendersonvilleStandard.com, and GallatinNews.com, where I get into all of the details, so something great to chew on. Our final headline of this week will be Hendersonville skipper Mike Hendricks. The Hendersonville head coach recently won career game number 650 in the Commandos' thrilling walk-off victory over Beach High School. Trailing 6-1 in the bottom of the 5th inning, Hendersonville scored 5 runs to tie the game in the home half of that stretch. And then heading into extra innings, in the bottom of the 8th inning, Mason Baker had enough and decided that he wanted to go home and ended the game on a 2-2 count, blasting a pitch to deep left center field over the wall, ending the game for the 7-6 victory in the career-thrilling win for Mike Hendricks. Hendersonville ran off 2 more victories the following Saturday over Portland and Rossview before thumping Hunters Lane on Tuesday night to get the skipper to 653 career victories. The team will try to improve to 19-6 on the season against that same Warriors team on Wednesday night. Friday is a big night to honor Mike Hendricks as they take on Loretto. Stay tuned after the break. we speak with Portland baseball head coach Scott Steinbrecher about his team's start to the season, goals, and more.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Nobody covers high school sports like Main Street Preps, bringing you hyper-local coverage of the teams and athletes in your backyard. Wherever your Main Street is, we've got a podcast for you. From the Sumner County Sports Podcast with Zach Womble, Casey's Take on Sports with Dixon Post and Cheatham County Exchange's sports reporter Casey Patrick, the MSP North Podcast with Brady McAtamney and Blaine Keller, covering Montgomery and Robertson counties, to Main Street Preps this week with Russell Venozzi and Tyler Palmatier with a macro view of prep sports in Middle Tennessee. Find your latest prep sports from your Main Street at mainstreetpreps.com and find these podcasts dropping weekly on these Main Street Media social platforms and wherever you get your podcast. Now, back to the host of the Sumner County Sports Podcast. Here's Zach Womble.
Thanks, JP. Welcome back into the show as we get set to bring in Portland baseball coach Scott Steinbrecher, who joins us via video call this morning. Coach Stein is a do-it-all man for Portland, whether that be baseball, softball, basketball. During his time on the Ridge, he's just done everything. Coach Stein, thanks so much for joining us today. How is your Wednesday going?
Man, I appreciate you having me. It's going pretty good. You know, it's just another day at the office. Get a little lunch break right now, so already done with my 2 PE classes, so ready to go get some field work done.
Good. I kind of alluded to it in the intro, but you really are the do-it-all man in Portland. What does a typical day in the life of Scott Steinbrecher look like?
I mean, you know, in the spring right now, the biggest thing is when you get here, I got 2 PE classes every morning. And usually during those mornings, right now I'm trying to set up, we run a high school basketball camp for our girls. We got a little kids camp, and we also run a middle school camp in the summer for boys and girls middle schools. So I try to get all that done in the morning and try to meet with my girls so they understand the plan for the day. And then around lunch, man, it's time to focus on baseball, get a practice plan ready, get ready to go, whatever that day entails. And right now with the weather, you don't know if you're playing, you're not playing, you know, you're going to have a game. So we have a game today. We scheduled it yesterday. So we're ready to rock and roll today.
Very good. Now, you're not from Portland, but you've been there, what, like 7, 8 years now? What is it about that town that keeps you there?
Man, I think I'm actually on year 11, maybe.
Wow.
It's been a long time. Man, it's just a small town feel. You're around a lot of good people. Whether or not it's just the people in the town, the parents, the churches. You know, I got a church here. Your administration at all the schools have been great. The people you work with are usually from the area. You know, like I'd say we have 100 people, 100 faculty members at the school, and 80 probably live in Portland. It's just a good community feel, small town. And they'll support you if you care about the kids and love the kids. You know, winning's great. Don't get me wrong. So being right now baseball, that helps. But I've also been on the other side, or at middle school, where I'm 1-15. They'll still support you if you love the kids and take care of the kids. You know.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, yeah, you've been there for a long time, and like I said, you're kind of their go-to man, and for good reason. Now, the baseball team 15-4 on the season, which I did pick up from CoachT.com, so I hope that's right.
That's correct.
Your best season since 2002, when you guys went to state, finished 28-8 Class AA. What has been maybe the biggest reason for your success for this year's group?
I think, you know, there's two reasons we talk about all the time. Is one is we are older, we're experienced. We have 4 seniors that I think most of them are on year 3 or 4 starting. We start several juniors, and they're all on year 3. So these guys have been, you know, thrown in the ringer since their freshman year, going against Mount Juliet and Station Camp and Beach, some of the best schools across the state. So there's no fear. You know, we go play East Robertson tonight, defending state champs. They don't care. It's just a baseball game. They've seen the best of the best. And then Coach Martin and Coach Gildy, the previous 3 years, they built it. They built a program. These guys are ready. They know how to work. They know what to expect. Every day it's a grind, and they're just ready for it. And so hats off to Martin and Gildy for building it. I just kind of got to inherit a really good baseball team, and you can say dropping down helped. That does help. But these kids were going to be ready no matter who we face.
Yeah, most definitely. This group of players are winners, and they've been winners for a long, long time. Now, you know, through your help and some other help, I found out that Portland baseball had been to the state tournament twice in school history. Once in 2002, another time in 1981. Could this year be added to the list, or do you even talk about state at this point through the season?
No, we haven't addressed it with the kids. The only thing we talk about is early May baseball versus late May baseball. You know, like a situation the other night, we didn't tag up with a fly ball, deep fly ball. Well, if you want to play in late May, those are things you got to execute. So that's the biggest thing we focus on right now. State, I mean, that's a long-term goal. Is this team capable of it? Yeah, I think there's probably, 30 teams capable of it. But you want to be playing your best in late May. And that's all we talk about, whether or not that's just getting a region or getting a sub-state or getting a state and making a run. Late May. Let's not focus on state. Let's just focus on playing in late May, which this group's never done. This group has never done. They had a pretty good run last year, won 2 district tournament games, but they didn't get to region. So I think if you looked at just late May, and that's a pretty good goal for them.
Now, I know you've got to get through Montgomery Central for this to happen, but a 2 seed seems to be yours for the taking in the district. Now, much like boys basketball this season, you guys lost to Greenbrier twice in the regular season. But if you see them again in the district tournament, how confident are you, or would you be heading into that potential 3rd game at their place?
Yeah, I mean, I think, going in Monday, Tuesday, 2 or 3 seed, as long as we have talked about that, as long as you avoid the play-in game. But our boys would be really confident. We're confident. It's a really good team, well coached. We talked to them about it the first time we played them. They have that experience. They've played in big games. They've went to state, so you could kind of see our nerves in that game. You could we hadn't been in this moment in big district games, but the more we play, and we went to Creekwood, we adjusted, and then we played Lebanon, which isn't not a big district game, but they know what Lebanon's about. So we're overcoming that, which is the last hurdle. So I think our boys would be confident, and that helps win. Does it mean we'll win? No, but we're not going to go in that moment and kind of be shocked early like we were the first couple times we played them.
Now, a little backstory here, but so of your 4 losses, I've seen 3 of them. So there were some jokes that maybe might not be allowed to come around the team anymore. So if you guys do play for the district tournament championship, am I allowed to come?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think we're 15-1 when you don't show up.
Yeah, that's right. So where do you guys, or what does this team need to improve on still to accomplish those goals that are in front of you?
The thing we talk about every day is just baseball IQ. You can never get too much. I mean, even at 40, there's things I learn every day. We sit with Coach Tucker at softball and Coach Gildy in the baseball, and we just bounce ideas off over what happened in the game. What do we need to teach? What do we need to learn? And that's the biggest things for these kids, just whether or not how to handle at bats, how to adjust when you get in those big games. And every game is different. And you never stop growing at this game. And the moment we keep talking about stay humble and stay hungry, head down, work. As long as we do that, we'll be okay. The moment that we think we've got it figured out, that's the moment you're about to get humbled. So, and that's what I think that's probably our biggest thing right now is just keep working, head down, and keep learning because, old saying is either, you can humble yourself or the game's going to humble you.
Amen. An old Bill Parcells saying, don't get trapped by the cheese, because the moment you think you got it, you're going to get trapped. You guys have been at the top of the Tennessee Baseball Coaches Association rankings all season long, whether it be 1, 2, or as low as 3. I'm curious, has being able to manage those rankings as the season progresses been any easier?
Yeah, the first one that first came out, we played White House that night. I was trying to avoid it. I was trying to hope nobody saw it. You talked to me about it, and the boys started talking about it at 4 o'clock. I'll be honest, I've never coached a high school team that we have to manage it. We didn't, so we addressed it the next day. We should have probably addressed it before. I was hoping they didn't see it. But it's been easier to manage. Do they see it? Absolutely. They're high school kids. They know their stats. They want to look at everything. But we hadn't had to talk about it after the first initial ones. The first initial ones, we had to talk about, look, they don't mean anything. It's cool. It's a good recognition for what you've been doing. But at the end of the day, that ranking's not going to get you to where you want to go. It's just showing you what you've accomplished now. And it's good for our program, good for our school, for our town to be up there and people see it. I wish it helped. That would be awesome, but it doesn't help. So we haven't had to talk about it. It's like I think Box is up for Player of the Week again and something. That's really exciting for him. The first time we had a couple players up, we had to talk about it. Now it's just a product of your success and people want to see it. That's cool.
Most definitely. 6 games to finish out this season, including a 2-game set with East Robertson, the defending Class A champs, to close out the season. How important was it for you to play a quality team like East Robertson in the last couple games of the regular season?
Yeah, that was something Martin scheduled. We actually play him tonight. That's our add-in game.
Okay.
So we're excited about that. I talked to Wicks last night. It is huge. It's you want to see really good arms. You want to see a coach and a team that's well prepared. So when you go into district, you're not shocked. I don't want to say a cupcake, but you don't want something easy. Like you want a challenge. You want your timing to be right. And so when Wicks needed a game today, it works out well for us because we're going to see Central next week. And you always want that challenge. We'll play anybody, anytime. We send out an email looking for games like, let's play. But seeing the better arms will help us later in the year, where I think early in the year we didn't get to see a lot of top arms. It kind of bit us early in the year. When we finally saw mid to upper 80s, we hadn't seen it. So it'll help us a lot going into it.
What's morale like at the school in the hallways? I'm sure your guys are walking around with chest puffed out a little bit. I'm sure the student body's been maybe patting you on the back a little bit. What's morale like in between the hallways at Portland right now?
I will say a lot more smiles, but they know better. They might maybe in the hallways they can't see me. They might puff their chests out, but they know when they walk by me to stay humble, to stay hungry. But there's a lot more joy. When you win it, it brings more joy. More kids want to talk about it to them. More kids want to show up to games. So it's been really good for them, for our fans. So I'm proud of them. They've earned it. I mean, these kids they went through the old non-AAA, which was just the ringer. I called Martin. It's SEC arms. Every day you're seeing guys in the 90s. So these guys have worked hard for it, and they've earned it. And I would just say more smiles. I don't think they got their chest puffed out. And another thing we hadn't talked about is the boys' basketball run. That's huge because now you got belief in the school. Now our school actually believes the team can do it from Portland. Let's go. And so hats off to Ferg and them for setting that bar for us that it can be done here.
Scott, thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. If you want to see good baseball, I suggest you head up to the Ridge and see the Panthers play because you won't be disappointed. Scott, we will talk soon.
I appreciate it.
Yep. Coming up after the break, I hand out my Player of the Week award and go into extra innings, so keep it locked here for more Sumner County content.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
From Preps to Pros, Main Street Sports Today has you covered weekdays at 2 o'clock on all of these Main Street media, social platforms, and wherever you get your podcasts. Coming up on the Wednesday edition, Heather Williams, WCYB TV, will join the program talking NASCAR. Plus, it is Wild and Wacky Wednesday, and as always, this day in Braves history with Mo Patton. Join the Hall of Famer Mo and the Sundrop Kid from Alabama, Chris Yao and JP Plant, as they bring you Preps to Pros, the daily sports talk show from Main Street Media. It's Main Street Sports Today, weekdays at 2 o'clock, right here from Main Street Media. Now, back to the Sumner County Sports Podcast, your host, Zach Womble.
I wonder how Chris feels having to follow up Hall of Famer Mo Patton just for the title. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'll ask him later this week. Listen, thank you so much for tuning in so far. We want to go ahead and jump into our next segment, which is our Player of the Week segment, and it is handed out to Station Camp senior Madison Croxford. Croxford finished the week 6-0 with 34 innings pitched, 57 strikeouts, 17 hits surrendered, and 12 earned runs given up, including a no-hitter. At the plate, she registered 15 at-bats, tallied 9 hits, 9 RBI, and 3 runs scored. So our Sumner County Sports Podcast Player of the Week this week, Station Camp senior Madison Croxford. Moving into extra innings to help close out the show today, I've got 2 topics for you. The first one I just thought of on the fly, but I wanted to give a shout out. But you may have known, you may have seen it, you may not have seen it. Not breaking any news here because it is out there, but the illustrious Hall of Famer George Plaster is joining Main Street Media of Tennessee, bringing his George Plaster Show as well as Watson Brown over to all of our social media platforms, our OTT network, and all things included. George is a delight to work with, and many in Nashville know exactly who he is. So adding George Plaster to our ever-growing top caliber list here at Main Street Media is something to be excited for. So make sure you are on the lookout this summer to see what George has to offer Main Street Media, Main Street Preps, and all things that encompass that, whether that be a high school Friday night show, whether that be his daily sports talk show, or more. I can't get into the and more part, but just know that it is big and it is coming soon. Are there extra innings topics this week? You know, in the past, I have talked about Tennessee baseball, and I'm going to keep with that topic and say that the SEC got it right. Now, you can't say that too often about the Southeastern Conference, but this week they got it right with Tony Vitello's suspension, getting 4 games for bumping the third base umpire in their game against Alabama this weekend. Listen, I'm as big of a Tennessee Volunteer fan as you will find, although I'm not as fanatic I guess you could say fanatic or crazy, or I don't see through the orange-colored lens as some fans would, but I still pull for my team. But I'm able to objectively step back and look at it through the proper lens and tell you that you cannot do that if you're Tony Vitello. You cannot do that if you're a player or any other coach. You just cannot make contact with an official whatsoever because of the tone and precedent that it sets for all of those who are looking at Tony Vitello, whether that be his team, whether that be young fans of the Tennessee Volunteers, whether that be young fans of the Alabama Crimson Tide, whoever is watching that game. You just cannot, under any circumstances, touch an umpire, an official. Now, you can get into whether or not the bump was all that, egregious or whatever. It doesn't matter. He still touched him, whether or not it was, minuscule or not. I'm of the belief that, it wasn't, he didn't bump him that hard, but he still bumped him. And that's something you can't do. Now, I do think there are a lot of fan bases making it maybe a bigger deal than what it would be. The Gumps of Alabama wanted a 10-game suspension. I think that's a little bit too severe, a little too harsh. Maybe if he throws hands, you look at something like that. But for the little bump that he did give him, because I do think the umpire maybe sold it a little bit, but again, it all comes back to you can't do that. But I think he sold it a little bit. I think the 4-game suspension is correct. And I'm interested to see how the Tennessee baseball team responds this weekend at Florida in Gainesville, because that is going to be a tough series, and not having your head coach being able to sell lemonade outside of Lindsey Nelson Stadium is going to be tough, and so I'm interested to see how they do. Obviously, they've only dropped 1 game in SEC play so far this year. That was, of course, to Alabama on that opening night. And again, Tennessee fans, don't get upset with Alabama fans celebrating that victory on Friday night. Listen, this is a team that is boisterous, is loud, and they celebrate. And I like that. I love that about them. I love that they're cocky. I love that they're hated by literally every other fan base in the country. That doesn't bother me, but you have to be able to take it both ways. And when you lose, you have to be able to take it on the chin, because you give it that way just as much, if not more, when you are winning. And we win more than we lose so far this year. So, again, to encompass all my extra innings, second part, SEC got it right with the 4-game suspension. Welcome George Plaster to the Main Street Media of Tennessee platforms. And that will do it for this week's episode. You know what time it is. Throw it in the basket. See if I can't make it. I made 3 of 4. Maybe you count 4 of 4 with the backpack, but let's see what happens. Didn't even hit the rim. Yikes. I'll see you next week.
This has been the Sumner County Sports Podcast with your host, Zach Womble, who covers high school sports all across Sumner County. Follow him on Twitter at Zach Womble MSP. Follow the show at Sumner Sports Pod, and always at Main Street Preps, and online at mainstreetpreps.com. The Sumner County Sports Podcast is a Main Street Media production.